Hey, NorCal Karters. This is Jason. This is my buddy Henry. Say hello, Henry.
Good afternoon, everybody.
So I kind of caught Henry off guard with this one today, but many of you in Northern California, you've seen this guy at the track. I met Henry when I was working over at Sweet Tech Racing, and about a year ago, you probably had that crazy idea of trying to gather a bunch of 125 guys together, right?
Correct.
So we've been trying to hook up for about a year to do a podcast, and many of you know the 80 group that Sean Knoll has headed up over the past 2 or 3 years has been very, very successful. And at the time, Henry had a 125 and wanted to do the same thing. For those that are new, there's plenty of options to race for a 125 if you want to race at a regional or a national level. But when you go to the local clubs, it becomes much harder. Not as many guys are out there. There's so many different engine packages. So Henry wanted to make things simpler. And so welcome to NorCal Karters.
Thank you. Yes, as Jason is telling everybody, I'm attempting to put together this limited shifter group of NorCal. And what I'm trying to do is to get some of the folks interested in that want to run the 125, and especially the rock motor, because it is becoming quite popular. And we'll put a restrictor, exhaust restrictor in it, so it'll be classified as limited, equivalent to the program they're running in Sonoma.
Correct.
And it kind of knocks the motor down to where it's pretty equal to the 80, and trying to generate some interest and get that going.
So when Henry approached me again about a year ago about the idea, I thought it was a great idea, because if you go out to when I say local tracks, Sonoma is kind of its own. It's its own demographic out there. It's right this year. It's all rock, so you have to be on a rock shifter. They used to allow the Honda package out there. Up until recently, they allowed the Honda CR80, and they still do.
Yeah.
But at the last race, there was only one Honda CR80 left out there, and all the other guys have pretty much migrated to that limited 125 class. And I love your idea, because outside of Sonoma, we have 5 tracks within 2 hours of Sacramento.
Yes. And
what better way than having just a community or a group of guys that might have a Honda CR125. It might be stock. It might be modified. It might be a Vortex. It might be a TMICC. Finding a way to just get them together and race the Blue Maxes, the Prairie Cities, the Kinsmans.
Yes, and theoretically the rock shifter, 125 shifter, theoretically out of the box has more horsepower than the Honda. That's why I'm trying to generate some interest and throw in a restrictor in that motor to where they're more equal, and form the limited group. You know, we can run the restricted rock and the Honda 125 together. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but I think by putting the restrictor in that rock, it makes the Honda and the rock more equal as far as horsepower.
I think it would need a little bit of work, because I think it would drop it below a Honda, at least a 125, because it does a pretty big knockoff on performance. But honestly, you could do the same with all of them. You could just have different restrictor plates.
That's true.
I mean, there was a restrictor plate out there from SCUSA for the S5 class, which took the 125 package down about 25-30%. So you could use almost like restrictor plate racing.
Yes. Yes.
And for some of you out there, I know you're pumping your chest and going, "Oh, I don't need a restrictor, whatever." Go drive, go race. But at a lot of these tracks, the fact is the tracks are just too small for an uncorked 125.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. It'll make it more user friendly for the smaller tracks.
Yeah, and everywhere I go, people go, "Oh, well, how is 80 still popular in Northern California?" And I have to explain to them, it's like the 80 is just so well suited for the NorCal tracks.
Yes.
Except for Sonoma. Again, Sonoma's the anomaly. That's that's the one track that it's wider, it's longer, the curbs are CIK approved, etc.
Yes, the Sonoma track is excellent. I love running there. And it's a class of its own over there. And over here in the valley, we have several tracks, like Jason says, within an hour drive of Sacramento, where we can be on, what would you say, 4 different tracks?
Yeah.
And the restricted rock makes it more user-friendly on these smaller tracks, and that's the interest I'm trying to develop.
Yeah, and your idea, you're not trying to pull away from what Sonoma Rock is doing. What you're trying to do is you just want a option for guys to go race that are in your situation. You're not going to go to Rock Sonoma for every single race.
No.
And I mean, I'll just say it. Regional racing, national racing is extremely expensive for a hobby. Now, karting is cheap racing, but if you're racing at these regional, national levels, it's expensive for a hobby. And with your idea, you can go out to a local club track. You could use your used tires.
Yes.
You can pay the $65 entry fee to the club.
Yes.
You can keep your costs down quite a bit.
Yes.
And again, it gives these guys this option where most of us are not regional racers. Most of us are club guys.
Yes. I've been to Sonoma several times, and I have a good time over there. I can fit in almost to any group, but when it comes to the club racing over here, I'm so much more relaxed and comfortable. Everybody is just so friendly over here.
Yeah, and I think that's just everywhere.
Yes.
Where when you go to a club race, you have the new guys out there. You have the guy with the pickup truck working out the back of the pickup truck. You have people typically at club races just kind of wandering around, not having any idea what they're looking at. You go to a club race and a guy goes, "Oh, I want to make an axle change." Well, it's going to take them a week, and they'll come back a week later to try that axle.
Yeah.
You go to the regional and the national stuff, when someone says we're going to make an axle change, it better be done in 15 minutes or you're going to miss your session, because they're doing axle changes between sessions. So it's a whole different group.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I'd like to go off here a little bit onto the schedule that I made up at the start of the season for the Limited 125 Shifters of Norcal. Of course, we all know this weekend is the big race at Prairie City. It's all two-stroke, and Sean is doing an excellent job with his 80s, and the 125s are gonna try to be right in there too. So we're going to Prairie City this weekend, and hopefully we can create some excitement and generate some more interest. And then after that, then we have in July, we have 2 races in Reno. If you guys have not been up there to that track, it's a small track, it's fast, and you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention.
Yeah, and the one thing about Reno is they have a turn at the back of the track similar to Laguna Seca's corkscrew. And the first time you do a lap through that track, the track literally disappears from you. You have to know where to turn in. And yeah, like Henry said, you have to go there.
Yes.
And it's such a neat track. But the corkscrew for me, I remember going into it, I was like, oh shit, where's the track?
Yes.
And then you go through the S's down the hill, the right hand sweeper going up the hill.
Yes.
And that left hand
down the hill.
Down the hill. Like it's almost like a reverse carousel.
Yeah, the famous.
If you know Sonoma, it's almost a reverse because at the top of the hill, sweeping left-hander coming down, and you can either go straight or through the S's and.
The famous turn 5.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's Reno.
Yes.
So let me give a plug to them real quick. So,
yes.
Today's the 23rd or the 24th of June that we're recording this. So June 26th, 27th, Prairie City. They're a NorCal Karter sponsor, PCKarting.com. So that's their full schedule at PCKarting.com. And then Reno is also a NorCal Karter sponsor. Their website is nnkcreno.com. And you have those events on your calendar for Limited 125, July 18th and the 25th. And if you're wondering how to get a hold of Henry, he's on Facebook. And I have a number of links on NorCalKarters.com as well as the NorCal Karters Facebook page. But if you look up 125 Limited of NorCal, that is Henry's page. for these events and conversations in the community he's growing.
Yes.
So go ahead, go back to your schedule.
And as far as Reno, if anybody out there wants to go to Reno and you don't want to pull your trailer or something, you have issues about getting there, contact me several days in advance and we can put everything in my trailer, and I can make room for 2 or 3 extra carts in there.
Okay.
And so it'll make it easier to get more people to go. And the other thing about Reno, those guys up there, they come and race down here when they can, which is actually quite often. So I think it's only right that we go up there and race with them at their home track.
Yeah, and the other nice thing about Reno is if you're into gambling or anything like that, usually the hotel rates are fairly reasonable.
I think they are.
They're trying to draw gamblers in to the downtown area there.
Yes.
And so lodging actually in Reno isn't usually very expensive.
No, and plus they allow camping, so there's always
At the track.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
So there's always several people that camp out there overnight, have a barbecue and so on, and have a good clean family fun.
Okay.
Yes, everybody needs to experience that up there.
So Reno has camping.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Yes. Yes. And then after that, then we come back to Prairie City, and then
August 1st, Prairie City.
August 1st, Prairie City. Yes, that's going to be another good 2-stroke weekend. And on my calendar, I just put one date. That's the race date. So come out the day before that and set up your pits and have some fun and burn some gas.
Yeah, so at Prairie City, most of the guys will show up on Saturday to get their practice laps in. A number of guys actually show up on Friday as well. I've seen guys show up on Friday, practice on Friday, skip Saturday, and then show up on Sunday for the race.
That's me.
That's you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I got to rest my body one day before the race.
Yeah. And for those that haven't been to Prairie City, they've done a really nice job with that track over the past year. I know it had to be very, I don't want to say hard for Durbans, but I want to say it had to be stressful when the government comes in and says you're done, you're shutting down.
Yes.
And they recently bought the track. I think not the track, but took over the management in 2019.
I think it was.
It was real close, and then COVID hit, and they had to just shut down, and it had to be nerve-wracking because they weren't even allowed out there to do anything.
Yes.
It wasn't open to the public at all. So over the past 8-9 months, they've made a lot of improvements.
It's if you haven't been out there in a while, you need to go out, talk to Don, say hi, get some water, and walk around the track. He has done a fabulous job cleaning that place up. On race day, he has put in 16 cameras around the track, and it all comes back to do 2 big 80-inch flat screens in the staging area, and it's extremely professional now.
Yeah.
If you haven't been there for a while, it's extremely professional now.
Yeah, and it's pretty neat when you're in the pits and you're watching on the jumbo screens.
On the big screen.
It takes a little bit to get used to because everything's segmented because there are different cameras tying into one screen.
Mm-hmm.
So following your driver at first, like it's different when you're on a camera and you don't see the whole track at the same time in unison, if you will.
Yes.
So it's like turn 4. On the camera system, they have one going into turn 4 and they have one exiting.
Yes.
And then you're watching, it's like, oh, well, where is
Yes.
that on the track? And then you realize, oh, that's the exit.
And if you, after you're there for a little bit and you see the 16 cameras on the screen, once you figure them out, they're in sequence.
Yes.
And you can follow one cart all the way around the track by watching that screen. If you know what cameras to watch, they're in perfect sequence.
Yeah. No, they've done a really nice job with that, and it's a really cool feature.
Yes.
And it also makes it spectator friendly.
Yes, and there's more, from what I understand, there's more stuff going to come also. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
And back to this weekend at Prairie City, the forecast is for hot weather again. So you folks coming out, you racers coming out on Sunday. I don't know if you've seen one of the changes made. but driver's meeting is at 8 a.m. Sunday morning. He wants to start the program early so we can get done early because it's supposed to be scorching hot.
I should have this guy take over NorCal Karters.
So.
Because I didn't even know that.
Oh, this just happened.
So early drivers meeting, that's perfect.
Yes, 8 a.m.
8 a.m.
Yes. And he's going to try to open the gates at 7. Jason just mentioned how the government sort of has control of a lot of that stuff. Don told me the other day on race weekend, he has to almost beg them to let him open the gate at 7 o'clock.
So for those who don't know, Prairie City is on state land. It's at an SVRA park. So there's a main gate to get into the park, and that is controlled by this state park system.
Parks Department or something, yes, yes. But so anyway, if you folks that are coming out this weekend, you drivers, don't forget 8 a.m. drivers meeting on Sunday. Okay.
And if you're new to karting and don't know anything about karting, Prairie City is located in Rancho Cordova, at the Prairie City SVRA park. It's right off White Rock Road,
Yes.
just, I don't know, 3-4 miles south of Folsom. So it's very accessible from downtown Sacramento, Folsom, about an hour's drive from the Lodi-Stockton area.
Yes.
So if you're new to karting, that's a great place to go and go check things out. Now pack a lunch, because of the restrictions, unless they've lifted it, I've not heard otherwise. They weren't allowed to have food vendors out there. So, pack a lunch. And they have bleachers set up. They have the camera systems. All the bleachers are covered. And and on club weekends, that's really the time, if you have questions, to go out to a track and ask.
Yes.
And look around. Because at the club races, people are a little bit more willing to spend time with you. If you show up at a regional or a national event, don't think everyone out there, they're rude or dicks or anything. They're not. They're just, it's a whole different level. And it would be like you going to the River Cats baseball game and trying to walk on the field and trying to find out, oh, how do I get into baseball? When you go to a regional or a national event. Yeah. Same thing. But you can go out to Prairie City. There's plenty of people out there.
Yes.
Henry's going to be out there. There's plenty of people out there that are more than willing to take some time to answer your questions.
Yes.
Now, Donald might be a little busy because he's running the race. Now, last time I talked to him about one of his races, it was the 4-stroke weekend. They almost broke 100 entries, which for any race series in the past 5 years is fantastic. And I know he's been really pushing hard for the 2-stroke weekend to get the numbers up. Yes. And that he's been very open to the 125 guys.
Yes.
The 80 guys will be out there.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's all 2 strokes. So your KA100s, they have a tag class.
Yes.
Go to, again, pckarting.com.
Yes.
And you can check out his whole class schedule.
Yes, he just posted the class schedule yesterday or the day before, and I think he's got about 6 or 7 different classes, the 2 shifter classes, and then there's, I think, 4 or 5 others. So there's going to be a lot of racing going on.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be hot. We're talking, Jason just mentioned kart count. I heard that on the 4-stroke weekend, there was like 140 entries.
I don't know about the last race, but 2 races ago it was...
Was it 2 races ago?
Yeah, it was 98.
Yes. Was it?
Yeah.
And I'm hoping the 2-stroke weekend, I'm hoping we get up around 65 to 75. I don't know, but I'm sure praying for it.
Yeah.
It's really going to be fun, so.
And if you're a 2-stroke racer, try to support Donald and what they're doing out there.
Yes.
For those that don't know, I try not to get into the politics and crap on NorCal Karters, because most of my viewers, they're recreational guys. This is their escape from life. They don't want to deal with politics. They don't want the drama. They just want to go to the track and race. But Donald was forced to split his race weekends because of head count numbers.
Yes.
He was told you can't go over a certain number. So he decided, okay, we'll do a 4-stroke weekend and a 2-stroke weekend. Now, every other organization or club out there, they do all their racing on the same weekend.
Yes.
So they have the same staff.
Yes.
They have the ambulance.
Yes.
All of those fees are bundled into one race weekend. So if they have 100 entries total, it's split up. Now with Donald, because he's had to split it up because of head count stuff, because they're on state property, he has to incur double his track workers. You know, all these tracks are paying workers to show up.
Yeah.
The ambulance fee, it's all double now because he's had to go into 2 weekends. So if you're a two-stroke guy and you're kind of on the fence if you want to go drive or race or not, go out and give it a shot. Go try it out. And again, we have to support these tracks, all of them, or we're not going to have tracks in the future.
That's right. And if you're new into karting, again, Prairie City is an excellent place to go because they have some really, really nice rental karts. You can go out and take your kids out there for a birthday party and put all the kids on rental karts. I'm not sure what the fees are, but I think it's fairly pretty affordable. And it's a good way to get introduced into karting, or just go out and have some fun.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I've been meaning to put this on NorCal Karters for a while. If you've never driven a kart of any kind, you don't need a shifter. You don't need to make a shifter your first kart because you saw some guy on YouTube in a shifter. Go out to a track like Prairie City or whatever your local track is that offers a rental kart program, and just go in the rental karts. And I don't want to speak out of turn. You can't hold me to this price, but I think Donald charges $35 a session on the rental karts, and they're pretty quick for rental concession kart stuff. They're basically built. The karts are built by a race kart manufacturer, so it's not like the carnival type fun karts. They